back to the channel, Learning with Miss Hills. I have something special lined up for you in today's video. Stay tuned.
So today we'll be looking at how we change improper fractions to mixed fractions. So that's improper fractions to mixed fractions. The example that we're going to be using today is 7 over 2, which is the same thing as 7 halves. Alright. So basically we want to know 7 halves as a mixed fraction. Now 7 over 2, in which 7 is the numerator and the line beneath the 7 is division bar or vinculum, and the 2 is the denominator. The 7 is the numerator again. We have the division bar there or vinculum, and the 2 is the denominator. So we can therefore say that this fraction 7 over 2 also means 7, and based on the division bar we can say 7 divided by 2, which is the denominator. Alright, so we want to know what 7 divided by 2 actually is. Now that we have our 7 divided by 2, which we got from 7 over 2 or 7 halves because of our division bar, we can write it this way. So top number divided by bottom number, numerator divided by denominator, which is 7 over 2 or 7 halves. Alright, so both of them are saying the same thing, 7 divided by 2 or 7 halves. We're going to be using some beads. So basically, since we're dividing 7 by 2, we're going to need 7 beads. We already have 5, we have 6, and we need 1 more to make 7. So we have beads. We can use beads or whatever we have as counters, corks or whatever. Now we have 7 beads. What we want to see is how many times we can get 2 from 7, or how many groups of 2's can we get out of 7. How many 2's can fit into 7? Alright, so we have 7 beads right there. We want to separate them in terms of 2. So each group should have 2. So you take 1, that's not 2, that's a half of 2. We'll put 1 more, that is 2. Alright, so we have 1 here. How many more do we need? We need 1 more in order to make 2. So therefore, in order to make a whole 2, we need 2. If we need half of 2, it would be 1. So keep that in mind. Half of 2 is 1, and 1 of 2 is 2. Now we need 1, which is a half of 2, and another half of 2, which is another 1. Put them together and we get 2. Now I am going to put these into groups, so you can use your markers. We have 1 2 1 2 1 2 again, and we have only 1 right there. Only have 1. 1 is a half of 2. So if you take 2 things, like I'm going to show you now, and to use different color beads for this example, I think we're going to use the yellow one. So we have 2 things. If we take 2 things and we cut that are separated into 2, which is basically breaking it into halves, then a half of the 2 things would be 1, and the other half would be another 1. Alright, so we now understand that 1 is a half of 2. Alright, so we're going to keep that as our footnote. Put them together, we get 2. Alright, now let us not pay this any attention for now. Let us focus on what is happening up here. So we have 2, which is one group of 2 right there. So that's 2 one time. We have another group of 2, which is another 1 time, and we have another group of 2, which is 1 more time. And if we have only 1 there, we can't get 2 again. This is 2 1 time, this is 2 1 time, this is 2 1 time again. How many more would we need in order for us to have another 2 right there, or to have 2 a 4th time? We would need to have 2, right? If this is equal to 2, this is equal to 2, this is equal to 2, and we get 2 1 time, 2 1 time again, 2 1 more time. What could we say about this last one? Can we get 2 1 time again? No. So basically what we have here is a half of 2, which is 1, or we have 2 a half time. 2 halves make 1. This is 1, half plus half makes 1. A half plus half makes 1. A half plus half makes 1. So right here, basically we can say that this one is a half of the 2, and that one is another half of the 2. This one on the left there is a half of 2, and the other one on the right is a half of the 2. And we repeat that. This one is a half of 2, and the one on the right is also a half of 2. Now, we only have 1 right there. We are going to say that that one is a half of 2. So we can say that this is also a half of 2. We're going to just ignore these. Let me just mark them out. Alright, so let's focus back on what we have at the top. So basically we're not looking at half, but we're looking at 2. Basically how many groups of 2s we can get from the 7. We originally had 7, if you count with me, 7 beads, because we're dividing 7 by 2. So we're asking ourselves, how many times can we get 2 from 7? We can get 2 from 7 1 time. Let me use a different highlighter. 2 from 7 1 time right there. So focus on red beads, that's because that is 1 group of 2. We get another group of 2 a second time, and we get another group of 2 a third time. So basically we have 1 2 3 complete 2s, and there we have a half of 2. In order for us to have had a complete 2, we'd have to put an additional bead right beside that one, but we don't have it. We didn't have it. If we put one more bead there, this can give us another group of 2, and that would have to change to 1. We only had 7 2 4 6 8 we have there, and that would give us 2 4 times. In this case we only have 7 beads. So we have, what we have basically is 7 divided by 2, which is equal to 1 2 3 groups of 2s, and that is our whole number. There is a remainder of 1, and so that 1 is going to become our numerator. So once you group them based on the number that you have there, the divisor, basically you can use the remainder as the numerator. Count the number of times you get the 2. 1, 2, 3 times. So count the amount of times you get the number completely, and that becomes your whole number. So we have 3 there. That becomes a 3, the whole number right there. So the times when you can get 2 or that particular number in that space, that is going to become the whole number. So you get 2 3 times, so that becomes the whole number. So the fraction part now is going to come from the remainder, which is 1 in this case. So it's going to be 1 over, and which number are we going to use as a denominator? The fraction family was halves, so that means that we must still have half, or 2 as a denominator, which is the fraction family. If you look closely, the half that is at the top is basically related to the half that is at the bottom. So the half at the top here is the same as the half down by the bottom.
That's all for today, everyone. I do hope you learned a lot in this video. See you in the next one.